Hello students, welcome to this second part of video lecture, chapter 2, Federalism. In the first part we discussed the definition of federalism and key features of federalism. Now in this video we'll discuss what makes India a federal country. Actually we'll try to justify India as a federal country using all those 7 features we have already discussed in part 1. So let's begin. First of all, the very first key feature of federalism, there are two or more levels of government. As you can see here, in India there are two or more level of government: central government, state government, and the third one is local government. So one is correct, no doubt. Different tiers of government govern the same number of citizens. It's true for India as well. Different tiers of government, central as well as state governments, govern the same number of citizens, the same citizens. So it is also correct. Next, the third one, the jurisdiction of the respective levels. It is clearly defined in our constitution. What will be the jurisdiction, the area where they will rule, whether it is central government or state government. So that is why it is written the jurisdiction of the respective levels, whether they are related to central government or state governments. So it is there in India. Now fourth one, the fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be unilaterally changed. It implies in India the fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be unilaterally changed either by central government or by state government. It requires the consent of both central as well as state governments. Next one, courts have the power to interpret the rules and regulations written in constitution as well as to decide the powers of different levels. We have already studied whenever there is a dispute between central and state government, the decider is Supreme Court of India. Next one, sources of revenue for each level of government. It is clearly defined in our constitution what will be the sources of revenue for state government as well as for central government, what will be the matters to deal. Next one, seventh one, the federal system thus has dual objectives. It has two objectives. The first one, to safeguard and promote unity of the country. To safeguard and promote unity of the country, it must promote the unity of country. It must talk about the unity of country, while at the same time accommodate regional diversity. That is why it is said in India there is unity in diversity. Now let's talk something more about the reasons what makes India a federal country. The constitution originally provided for a two-tier system of government. In starting, in our constitution only two levels were there: central government and state government. The union government, or what we call the central government, representing the union of India, that represents union of India. India is a union, and the state governments. So these two tiers are central government and state governments. Later, a third tier of federalism, third tier of government in the form of federalism was added in the form of panchayats. Later, a third tier of federalism, for third tier of government was added in the form of panchayats and municipalities that we call local government. So what we call these? Local government. As in any federation, these different tiers enjoy separate jurisdiction. So what is this jurisdiction? Their particular area in which they deal, whether they are related to central government or state or any local government, they have their particular jurisdiction. The constitution clearly provided a threefold distribution of legislative powers between the union government and the state governments. Threefold distribution of legislative powers between the central and state governments. Thus, it contains three lists. So that is why it is clearly mentioned what are the three folds. We'll discuss about it. The first one is union list. What is union list? Union list includes subject of national importance such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communication, and currency. So these are the matters which include in union list, which are included in union list. They are included in this list because we need a uniform policy on these matters throughout the country. Because we require uniform policies for the country, that is why these affairs are included in union list. union list. We require a single defense system, single foreign affairs, banking system, communication and currency. Then there will be conflict. So to avoid such situations, we have uniform policies on these matters. Most important, the subjects which are included in union list can be changed or used for making laws only by the union government. That means the union government alone can make laws relating to the subject mentioned in the union list. So these are the matters for union government or central governments. Only union government can make laws on these subjects. Now next one is state list. The second one is state list. It's obvious, union list for union government, central government, state list for central governments. Contains subjects of state and local importance such as police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation. What are the subjects? Police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation, such subjects. The state governments alone can make laws relating to the subjects mentioned in the state. You may have noticed the conflict between central and state government of Delhi. There are many instances of conflict. The police is in hand of state government while other administration is in hand of central government. Now there is a third list. There are many matters which requires the dealing of both central government and state government. Concurrent list. This is known as concurrent list. Includes subject of common interest to both the union government as well as the state governments. What are the subjects? Such as education, forest, trade unions, marriages, adoption and succession. So both of these union as well as state governments can make laws on these matters. State government such as education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption and succession. These are matters where both of these make laws. Both the union as well as state government can make laws on the subject mentioned in this list. If their laws conflict with each other, if there is a conflict, if there is any dispute between them, the law made by the union government will prevail. So who will be prominent? The union government. The rules and regulations made by union government will be followed. Union territories. You know very well, in India there are states as well as union territories. Union territories are very small states, like areas like Chandigarh or Lakshadweep or the capital city of Delhi are called union territories. Andaman and Nicobar. These territories do not have the powers of a state. They are not given the power of a state. The central government has special powers in running these areas. There is the role of central government to run these union territories. So who run these areas? Central government. And if there is any dispute about division of powers, in case of any dispute about the division of powers, the high courts and supreme court make a decision. Once again, if there is a dispute between central government and state government, who will be the decider? Supreme court or the particular high court of that state. That's all in this video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the third part. Have a nice day.